Luca Nation, you're in for a treat here. I actually saw this gentleman in front of me, Dr. Collectible Daryl, on Rollin FD. If you guys don't subscribe or support or follow Rollin, 100% you should. It's Rollin FD on Instagram and Rollin FD on YouTube. But I saw Daryl on there, and we've wanted to have you on for a while. You were at Culture Collision, so we could talk a little bit about the basketball game, the tournament. You're a big Kobe collector, so we could talk a little bit about that. You have an awesome show on Card Shop Live, which I urge people to go check out. But I always kind of like start with the origin story. So you're big on Kobe autos, big on Kobe 1-of-1s. How did you get into collecting, and how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
No, that's okay. Yeah, I'm 33.
33, same age as me. So Kobe, how did you get into collecting, man?
Fortunately, my dad, he got me into collecting at a very young age. I seen him cars. First time I seen him really pull out his cars, he always kept them intact in the corner, never moved them. He knew when I moved that corner, and tried to look at cars. So he always, I would see him late nights cleaning his cars, looking at his cars, Bo Jackson, just a fan of, good guys, and would tell me about sports. And at this time, I'm playing sports. So I'm playing basketball, running track as well. So I'm getting into collecting. I love the collecting part, but, sitting there cleaning cars, things of that nature. And that's how it kind of started off for me as a young age. And then from there, years later, decided to get into the hobby. And long story short, I bought an Xbox 360. No, it was an Xbox Series X. Bought it for like $550 when it first came out. At this time, 6 months later, I'm playing the game, not making money from it, not enjoying it as much as I used to, and decided to sell it. Sold that for $1,200 on eBay. Ended up taking 900 at and bought a Kobe Bryant 2001 Fab Floor autograph. And like I said, it was a couple on eBay. And from there, it was like, okay, this is the one I wanted. Bought it, analyzed it, reached out to Golden. Hey, can I get this on y'all platform? I wanted to sell. At that time, it was like, yo, we got to get it graded, things of that nature. Came back, PSA 10, Pop 1. I think it might still be Pop 1 right now, if I'm not mistaken. And ended up selling for like 30, between like 3,300, 3,700. That right there changed everything for me after that day. Because then I took that, started pushing into
This card?
Yes, that's the card. Yep. That's the one. I'm not sure. I know I have a picture of it on my Instagram of the sale and everything, but yeah, it came back a PSA 10. So for well, yeah, about 3,300, and then I took that, invested that money into my business, or as logo, merchandise, and things of that nature. And after that, it was a wrap.
So where'd you get the money to go to med school?
I never originally went to. So what happened was like coming up with the idea of Dr. Collectible. I always see my dad cleaning cars, and for me, that day when I bought that car and I eyed it out on eBay, and I said that's the one I want. I think that's the one that's going to get that 10. I said, oh yo, I know how to analyze cars pretty good with the eye test, so let me start something called Dr. Collectible. After that, at this point, I didn't have no logo at this time, and decided to get a logo and started the brand and get my branding right. And after that, man, it was a wrap. So, but yeah, I kind of wish I went to doctor school.
Well, I mean, why? You don't need to go to school at all. Just hang out in Mexico. And
Hey.
I mean, that's the deal. That's no school, no. So listen, before we go too far, right? So two things. Number one, talk about your dad cleaning cards. I know people listening, they're wondering what does he mean by that. And then number two, because I think that dovetail is Dr. Collectible. What is it that you do? Your branding. What is it that you do with the cards? Obviously, we're talking about the eye on the cards. So talk about that a little bit because I think they're going to go together.
Yeah. So, far as with cleaning cards, thing about me, I like looking at the eye test of cards and seeing what I can buy in general. And if it is a bad looking card, I try to clean it. One thing with me was that I bought I believe it was from Got Baseball Cards in Atlanta. And magnifier with a light on it and where you can actually like read the card. So that's what I started doing. When I seen that item, I was like, okay, let me buy that. That was the first item I bought before even buying a card or anything of that nature. And from there, anything I ever submitted to PSA, I made sure that I would use that magnifier. And like, I felt like a doctor, I felt like I was finding the cure for cars to get good grades. And it's been working out for me. And how I kind of transitioned for me and my brand was that I'm gonna tell you this, I took a year off.
Mhm.
I took a year to analyze cars, seeing what the hobby was doing with content, seeing how the hobby was moving, the market and everything of that nature. I took a year to analyze, and then I said, when I have my brand, I am going to make something out of this. And that's when I started doing the content creating work. And from there, everything just started blowing up for me when it came to sales. Like the hobby became like the matrix to me. I look at it differently compared to, how most people look at it when they just look at cars. I'm about the entertainment. I'm about the fun of it. It's a lot that goes on with me. And like I said, I hope people enjoy my content as well when they see it.
Do people give you a hard time? So why I ask that is
Mhm.
cleaning cards is like it's like backlash for that.
Yeah, from certain different people where they like, yo, you shouldn't be touching the card or things of that nature. Like, I'm gonna say this: if I see a good looking card, I'm analyzing it. I may not touch it, put it in the sleeve, call it a day. But there's some cards where you can make them look better, and I'm not saying trim cards or things of that nature, but like, yo, get you a sleeve. And like get the right materials. Like I see somebody, Mr. Minty, he does it so dope, and I love his brand and how he utilized cleaning cards and how he actually does it. So for me, it's like it's nothing that I'm promoting, but it's something that I do personally on my end, and it helps me out. But yeah, I do get some backlash from it. Not publicly, but definitely in the inbox, like, yo, what you think? What you think you're doing?
Cleaning's a part of life. It just is. Once we started making some money in the podcast, Andrew introduced me to this guy, Seidelbaum,
Yeah.
and he cleans our money for us.
Hey.
He puts it through. He takes a little bit of a piece.
Mm.
We launder it. Andrew and Daryl, no one has seen the movie Scarface, clearly, but Seidelbaum is the money launderer for Tony Montana. For those of you listening, it's I'm sure some of you got it.
How does he do it? Does he buy
He actually is
cars?
the FBI informant, and Seidelbaum is the one that gets Tony pinched, believe it or not. Yeah,
Dude, the chainsaw scene in Scarface.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You shut it
couldn't
off after that?
It was a lot, man. I don't love that kind of stuff. Like
That happened right up the block from where you live.
It is in Miami. You're actually right.
I got
Yeah.
I'm more excited for the Chris Rock, the first live special on Netflix tomorrow night.
It's going to be exciting. What's weird about that is it shows you how big Netflix has become in kind of culture because, Amazon has done live stuff. Peacock does live stuff. I mean, these other streaming networks do live, but this is the first live for Netflix. So, it's one of these like must see, where were you when that happened? Scarface, I got to talk it up because I was in my basement the other day, the basement of wonder. It's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. And I remember I used to buy a ton of DVDs and I would watch them. I had a DVD player to watch them. And I owned Scarface on DVD, but then this cool like silver collector's edition, like multi-disc with like background and all the stuff came out. It was the 90s. And I never opened it. I kept it sealed. Yeah, there's got to be. At some point, I ought to get that thing graded. It's still sealed. It's sitting in the basement. I'm gonna have to get it sealed.
So I don't know if you guys saw Culture Collision got a plug in ESPN. I think it was this past week. You were there. You were at the tournament. You played. What was the vibe like at Culture Collision? If you want to give a shout out to Prism God, how'd you do in the tournament? If you'd improve something about it for next year, feel free to use this platform for that. How was it?
So Culture Collision for me, shout out to Prison Guy and what he does for the hobby and what he brought to the hobby with Culture Collision. First off, that was my first show I ever went to. The first show was like 3 years ago. First show I went to, it was amazing. Really didn't know much about the hobby at this time. Wearing the doctor's jacket, you would have thought I was at a con, So it was a different vibe, and people looked at it like, okay, this guy different, got a doctor jacket. Who's this? It was an eye catcher for me. I caught people attention, and that's what I wanted. But with the show in general, it's a big party. You hearing music. From the 3-on-3 tournament, I did pretty good. I think it was like 10 teams. I went for third place. lost that game. But my teammates, I mean, they was amazing. All the vibes from the people that were selling sneakers, paintings, cards, you name it, they was there. I seen everything in one complete show. And like I said, I'm mad I missed the second show, but moving forward, for us the first and third show, it has gotten like tremendously better. And I'm hoping more success for them because that's right in my backyard. You know, I don't have to go out and travel or anything of that nature. So to have that in Atlanta, and also I got a chance to get an invite from Prison God to the All Star card game, and I believe it was like a 50 people invite or whatnot. But I was able to meet people like C Bless and, you know, have a great conversation with guys like Wiz the Collector. And, you know, being in that small space with very influential people that's in the hobby, man, you can't beat that. Cannot beat it.
Andrew's still waiting for his invitation. Did Seablez throw a ball at you? You know, was because that's what the inquiring minds want to know. No, I mean, listen. The important thing about that, and not to make a joke out of it, I tend to make a joke about almost everything. Is kudos to Prism God, right? I mean, we talk about. I do a show about shows with both Black Jade and Wolf. We talk about are there too many shows, right? You know, are there too many card shows, right? And it is. I mean, I did it on purpose, but I'm glad I got you. It's a show about shows, right? I mean, Seinfeld's a show about nothing. But we talk about are there too many shows, but you know, every once in a while you got to take a step back from that BS. And yeah, sure, there are shows that are competing. You know, coming up, you got Philly at the same weekend as Dallas, and then Chantilly's the same weekend as Mint. But guess what? There are people like you 3 years ago who are in Atlanta, who are in Dallas or in Chicago, and it's going to be your first show, right? And you're not worried about which show is competing. You worry about one that's in your backyard, that's easy for you to get to. And because that show was put on the way that it was, your first show experience was a good one. It was a welcoming experience. You liked it and you stuck with it, and you're now here contributing, and you've turned it into a business. And I mean, kudos to Prism God for that, and kudos to everybody who's putting on these shows. And you know, it's one of those things. To me, I've learned something already just from the last couple of minutes, because I'm always like, oh, these guys got to work together. They shouldn't be doing shows at the same time. But I mean, if they can all make it work and it's successful enough and they're local, not everybody's flying across the country to go to all these shows. So, I mean, thank you for that. And I mean, thank you, Prism God.
Seriously, I agree with you on that. Like me personally, when it comes to like flying out, like I have a recipe. I call it the recipe, and basically, say for example, I went to Collectible out there with my friend PSA Popular. I do a lot of content creating work with. Um, Two things that I did before I went out there. Before I bought my flight, and before I went out there and, you know, buy my tickets, things of that nature, I sold a card. I made sure I sold a card on eBay and sold for like about 800, and that paid for me to fly out, hotel, the trip. But then on top of that, I was able to have extra cash on the side. But then when I go to these shows, I do plan to sell. So not only I made my money back before I left, but now I'm making more money at the show, enjoying the show, creating content, and it's all working back for me and it's helping me out. So I'm not in a lose and lose situation, or where people are like, yo, I can't pay to go to the nationals and
So
not
let's stick with that, right? So, because there are people listening, right? You sold an $800 card. What card is like? What are you into it for? And then how do you identify those? Is it because you're able to buy a card for $200 that you clean, you take the surface, you're able to grade it and turn a $200 raw buy into an $800 card that you're now selling, and that creates like talk me through that a little bit, because I know, especially with where the hobby is now, there are definitely people listening to this and saying, "Hey, I'd like to sell a card and make $800 and then go to shows and then do business there." But it's not as easy as all that, right? They're buying a card for $600 and selling it for $5. So
yes.
talk me through.
So with me, I look at a card and I see what a card is selling for. So first of all, when I do collect, I like a lot of Pop One stuff.
Okay.
I'm very interested when it comes to pop. It ain't gotta be one on one, but if it's Pop One, I'm the only one in the world that got it.
Right.
I Until there's another card graded. So for me, and I'm gonna go into detail, very
Sure.
detail. I love eBay. I'm gonna say I love eBay.
Mhm.
But what I do, I go on eBay and I analyze cards, see what I like. And then I start doing the research on the card. I mean, the serial number is right there. You can look up pop one, whatever, look up the population of the card. So what I do, I create relationships with them guys on eBay. One thing I might do, see on their eBay page, this their name, I might go look them up on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to them. Hey, you got Instagram? Try to create a relationship. Because now, what I just did, I killed the market from having, and don't get me wrong, I
Mm-hmm.
love to sell on eBay, but say if there's a card that's worth like $1,000, selling it for 1,000. Not only I just saved him, but I saved me some money. And what I mean by that, now I took him off eBay. Now he on Instagram. Now we can talk about this private. Now we can make this a private sale. And not only that, you're not getting beat up by eBay, and I'm not getting beat up by eBay when it comes to very expensive cards. Because we know $1,000 card might turn into like 1,200, 1,300 by the time you're about to pay for it on eBay. And not only that, the person that's selling the card is also kind of losing out because eBay want their cut. You're selling on our platform, and I completely get and I respect it, but there are ways around it where you can make private sales. And one thing about me, why I like private sales, I don't like, I'm gonna get it straight into it. I don't like comps. Because now the person that I do try to sell to, they can't, I'm gonna look up the comps. This car sold for this. Dude, I'm the only one that got this. It's not like it's 50 or 100 of these that sold for this price. So when it comes to even comps, I'm like, sometimes I don't understand it when it comes to very, very low pop cards. And how can we put a price on someone that maybe sold the card raw and I have it graded and you want to buy it for the same price that it was sold raw? It doesn't make sense to me sometimes. So that's how I kind of move. And that's what helps me get my wins and not take so many losses when it comes to spending money on cards.
I mean, real valuable stuff, and I'm glad I pulled on the thread a little bit, and I'm glad
Creative
you were
pricing.
honest with it. It's creative pricing, but it allows him. So think about it. Walk through the creative pricing. It's not just, hey, I bought this card, and I'm just, because I looked at it and realized it was shinier than the pictures were on eBay, I'm going to charge double. No, there's a specific method to what he's doing. One, finding the only one, low pop or pop one, right?
Yep.
And most likely, he's probably looking for cards that somebody just graded. So it might have been raw. Maybe there were no 10s. He's probably finding a new 10.
Yep.
And he's not allowing the market to actually set a comp for it, taking it offline. And if it's $1,000 card that he would have to pay, $1,100 for after taxes, and the person after shipping and all this other crap and paying PayPal and eBay fees would only get $850, he goes in, sells it. I'll pay $930. He's saving a little. The seller's saving a little bit. But the best part about doing it that way, no one knows it's $930. They saw it was listed on eBay for $1,000, $1,100. Now, all right, it's gone. It's off eBay. There's no comp. It doesn't go on Card Ladder. It doesn't go anywhere. It never actually sold. He waits a month, waits 60 days, whatever the heck it is. He's going to a show, and it's the only one with no comp. He knows what he needs to get for it because he knows what he's in for it. And that negotiation is significantly easier for him with a potential buyer because he knows he can't sell it for less than what he paid for it. I mean, maybe he can, but to make money on it, he knows he's got to sell it for $1,000 or 30 or 1030 or 1050, and he doesn't face what you faced. Remember with that Juan Soto gold card that you had, where you bought it publicly, you bought it on PWCC, and you bought it as a bargain, right? Like that was an $800 card that you paid $520 for, right? And it was 900, 800, 520, and you went around saying, "Holy shit, I got a bargain! I bought an $800 card for 520." But every person and everyone was interested in it, they liked it, but every person said, "Hey, this card last sold for 520. I'll pay you 450." You can't make money that way.
Never. Can't make money that way. And how they saying like the market is going, and I understand it. It's highs and lows with every market. So for me, you completely get it, and you broke it down to a science, and especially for our audience, I'm hoping they're able to learn something from this.
Yeah.
Like how to move, but also you creating relationships. I'm talking business or negotiating with guys that love Kobe as well, just as much as me. So for them, hey, this card is going into a guy hands that loves Kobe or is a big fan of Kobe as much as I do. Hey, it's a win-win situation. And then on top of that, you gain a relationship as well with good people in the hobby.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, maybe he's buying it from somebody who does a lot of grading, right? And
Right.
now he's talked to them and explained to them, hey, I'm a Kobe guy. You grade something raw, don't even put it up on eBay. You get a 10 on it and it's a low pop, a pop one, just reach out to me directly. And now he's got deal flow coming his way, the way dealers do who pay for tables at shows. And now this person or the three other sellers he's bought from recently say, hey, I happen to get this Kobe. It's a pop one. Is it something you want? And you're now in it. You know what you're into it for. And when you go to sell it, there is no comp and no one knows about it. And it's all done, behind the scenes. So I love it. It's an eye-opening thing because look, this is not cards 101, right? This is like the graduate level course on cards, which is amazing because you're in it. But one of the things we talk about with the hobby is the barrier to entry, the difficulty in I have never done this before. Where do I buy? How much do I pay? Should I be breaking wax? Should I be buying retail? How do I get the right price? How do I know I'm not getting ripped off? And I think the beginner level stuff is it's easier to make sure you're not getting killed when you buy stuff that there's comps for. You buy those liquid assets. You buy okay, well, this card sold for $100. This guy only wants 95. Okay, great. That's not a card you're going to be flipping for 120 in a month, 2, 6, or whatever it is, because everybody knows what you paid. Everybody knows what the story is on it. This is now a completely different segment. This
Keith,
is
do you think
more.
that's why there was the base craze where in early 2020, the newer entrants, all the 101, all the new people that just got into hobby university, they just felt comfortable buying base because they knew exactly what the price of it was?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because what you had basically a new university opening up, and everybody who came in was a freshman. And if
Mm.
you watched it, it was Hobby University. Everybody came in was a freshman class. And when you learn those intro 101 classes, the first thing you do is, okay, here's what the base card is. I want to buy a card of somebody, it's the Luca Prism. I want to buy a card of someone, it's the Zion Prism. And as they do it long enough and they see what's going on and everybody catches on, they matriculate, they move into sophomore year, and all of a sudden it's let's buy those silvers. Let's get the silvers. Let's get the refractors. Let's get let's start looking at pops, and then everybody catches up. And in junior year, it's let's buy those colored parallels, the numbered parallels. Let's get the numbered parallels and get the blue or get the Trae Young red, because that's a team color match. And finally, everybody got up to senior year where the people who were in the hobby already before the boom were the whole time, and they got to the golds. Right? They got to the PMGs. They got to the 90s inserts. It
Not
took a
me. I
while
got
to
held
get there.
back. Got held
Dude,
back.
you dropped out.
Failed philosophy. So I want to ask. I want to talk ball with you. I want to ask you about the Hawks. I know you're a big Lakers fan. I want to ask you about Kobe and your passion. But first, could you share? So I think
Mhm.
January, and don't misquote me. You have a partnership with Card Shop Live where you do a weekly show with them.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So with Card Shop Live in general, Card Shop Live is a platform of guys and women, well, breakers. You're talking about people that have cool content, and it's like basically you have your own show and you can just break as much you want. You can sell whatever you want, whether if it's toys, VHS is anything that we can put on that platform and sell.
Merch,
Yeah,
hats, hoodies,
you know,
cards.
NFTs. Recently I did a video where I actually got a chance to talk with Matt from Dapper Labs, which he works with Dapper Labs. He's seen my content. He also worked with NFL All Day. Sent me some packs like, yo, I like your content. You want to break it? And these are like 180 some dollar packs. This not cheap. And especially when you're talking about NFTs, that's a whole totally different world. And people are still trying to understand it. So for me, able to have digital collectibles as well. That was pretty cool. That I was able to go live with sports card nonsense and actually break that and create content around it. And now I have people from NFL All Day looking at me and looking at my content, which I think is pretty cool. And that's what it's all about. And for me, I have a show on there called On Deck. First off, I want to give a shout out to Tim from Slab Strong. Like, he the one who put me in place. He seen where I was going with content, was like, yo, I like what you're doing. Let me get you to some people at Car Shop Live. This is what they're doing, and try to make something happen. They presented me with a show, and now I talk about the weekly hobby box that are coming out that our breakers are breaking on the app every week. So it's a win-win situation. And for me, I love to create content. So for that, I was able to partnership with Card Shop Live, and also I do other things for them than just the show. So I also make content, also be able to travel and promote the business as well. And like I say, go to different car shows that I'm looking to be booked up throughout the year. 2023 is going to be a different year. So for me, I appreciate them and what they do for me. They have been easy to work with, and I love the platform because it's up and coming and it's steady growing. That's where I want to be at. I love the underdogs, because I know how that felt. When I first started my Instagram, I had a was an emergency sign or something like that. Like I ain't even had no identity. So for me, I love the underdogs. Like, look, we're gonna make this happen, and boom, I see the continues grow, but I am actually growing with them as well.
I'm gonna give Tim a shot. He half-assed it with you. He's walking around with that jumbo hat. He needs to get you hooked up with a jumbo stethoscope. So you can walk with the jumbo hat. You can get a big ass like jumbo stethoscope, maybe, or one of those like the doctor things with like the little
Yeah,
circle, like jumbo size. Come on, Tim, hook it up.
click on the
Now,
side.
Card Shop Live, I will tell you one of the things that was when they came out, they made sure to do it. The digital stuff. They when they have people sign up, they get their Panini blockchain name, they get their Top Shot ID. That way, when you're breaking that stuff, it gets automatically transferred to their account. Like the people, as part of their sign up, as part of their profile, you have those accounts already, and I think they might be the only ones that do that. So it does allow them to kind of be at the forefront of the NFTs, the digital card breaking.
Explain why that matters, Cage, because maybe it's over people's heads.
Sure. I mean, listen, whether you like digital cards, or NFTs, or the Panini blockchain stuff, or Candy, or wherever it's going to be, right? Traditional breaking, someone's breaking a physical product, Dr. Collectible, you, whoever it might be, backyard. They're opening a pack, they're opening a box. You've created a profile. On that profile, it's where you want those cards shipped to. Let's say you got the Hawks, right? So now in the team break, a Trae Young is hit, it's sleeved up, and it's sent to your address. It's put in the mail, done. That's a whole step. One of the cool things at digital, you don't have that. You don't have to actually, wrap it up, worry about the condition, you name it, mail it to someone's mailing address.
Yes.
But so it has to be basically gifted. It has to be like sent from one blockchain account to another blockchain account. Whether, like I said, let's use Panini for a second, right? My name is Cage Lawyer on there, shocking to everyone. But if I wanted to give away Panini digital moments, as I give away all the time, all I need is somebody's digital Panini blockchain name, Dr. Collectible. And boom, I can send it online. There's no shipping, there's no ship to the post office, no nothing. When you sign up for Card Shop Live, one of the things they ask you to put in is that. That way, if Dr. Collectible is breaking a pack of Panini Digital, and whoever is in the break for that pack gets their Trae Young hit, when the break's over, boom, automatic, sent right there. It's instantaneous, seconds. You're not waiting for shipping, you're not waiting for any of that stuff. If you don't have that as a live breaking platform, it's an extra step. It's something where you have to reach out to the person, maybe ask in the chat, hey, what's your Panini name, or what's your, because
you
it's
get
not
your cards
already
in seconds, minutes, or hours instead of days or weeks.
Yep. So
Right?
it's a cool thing. They were forward thinking about that. I know, Sean and Mike and the crew over there. They made sure that they work with Panini, especially, to get that done. I'm sure they've done the same on the back end with their tech when it comes to Dapper Labs properties as well. So it's not for everyone, but if it's something that you do like, it makes it a much more instantaneous transfer to get those those NFTs, those digital cards into your hands.
Daryl, what's the next show you're going to be at?
So the next show I plan on going to is the Union Marketplace in Cali. Yes, sir. I am
That
definitely.
got voted best show. That in Burbank got voted best show in the hobby.
All right. So last year I seen FD. So and this when I started following FD and everything, I'm like, okay, this look like it's an event. This look like Culture Collision. I'm like, I love their atmosphere and how they came to me. It was like, yo, would you like to come? Made a promo out of it, promo pic. Like, I love that because it felt like they were sincere about it, and then that they took their time out their day to create a promo pic with me on it, saying, hey, make sure y'all welcome Dr. Collectible. And for them, man, I'm finna be doing so much content. They probably gonna get tired. I'm just saying that it's gonna be a vibe, man. And that's the next show I plan on doing. I
Mid March, is that right?
March 24th, I think.
Yeah.
March 24th. So it's right before.
March is a huge month for shows.
It's the week before. It's the week before Mint.
Yes, it's a week
So
before. I plan on catching go too, and I want to do the Nationals as well. I believe that's in July in Chicago. I'm originally from Illinois, so I'm gonna go home, meet mom, things of that nature, and then go straight to Chicago and head there. So
Where does Kobe come into play for all this? Why is Kobe the guy you collect?
So I tell a lot of people like this. They be like, "Yo, Jordan's the GOAT. Jordan's the GOAT." All right, 1997. I was playing video games. I was not. I can hear my dad in the background. Jordan did it again. Oh my god, And I'm sitting there playing my game like, okay, yeah, Jordan. But for me, I got into basketball. I want to say 99. Really started watching and then started playing. I grew my hair because of Kobe. Like I like the way he moved. He remind me of the guy Darius Miles. Well, Darius Miles remind me of him, but we originally from East St. Louis, Illinois. So seeing Darius Miles grow up in high school, things of that nature, and play and go
I have to find it. I'm not interrupting you, but I will forget it. If you're at Mint or National, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure I got a Darius Miles auto out of a hoops box that my son and I opened. So I don't think I sold it because I don't think it sells for that much. But I remember Darius Miles. I'll have to find it and I'll make sure I give it to you. But go ahead. Sorry about that. You say Darius Miles. I actually know who you're talking about, and I have his auto.
High school to the pros, right? Darius Miles went high school right to the pros. Portland, am I thinking that right?
I think so. He played for a bunch of teams.
Yeah, he played for like Cleveland. He played with LeBron his rookie year. I think he also played with like the Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he been to a few teams. But yeah, for me with Kobe, I started watching Kobe. I started becoming a Lakers fan, and from there I started doing the history on the Lakers. Like, okay, they won so much, this and that, and I'm like, oh wow, this is a really good franchise. And then after that, it was the explosion of Kobe what really started making me watch basketball. And there's other players. I mean, I could have gotten to Vince Carter. I could, but Kobe was stuck with me. That's just what it happened. And then after that, he became my GOAT. When I started, watching him from 2000 to 2010, that was an incredible run. 5 rings. I never forget it. Game 7, 2010. Man, just every year. The only year I missed watching Kobe, I fell asleep on the '09 final.
Against the Celtics.
It was like a burn. Like who they go? I think it was Dwight Howard. It was against the Magic. And at this point, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's 3-1. Kobe finna win this. I ended up falling asleep on that championship game and missed the ceremony and everything. So that's how it was for me. I ain't missed 2010.
I fell asleep during Kobe's 60-point game, his last game. So you guys chime in on this. Tell me you agree or disagree. Earlier you mentioned Underdog. I know Kobe went high school to the pros, but I always felt like Kobe was the underdog going in the NBA. I really felt like he had the underdog vibe. He wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't the fastest. He had all those tools, but I felt like he was someone who truly loved this craft. And me growing up playing sports, I didn't feel like I was the most athletic. I was like, I had him to look at, What did he mean for you? Like, why did you gravitate toward Kobe?
It was that underdog feel. Like when I started looking into Kobe and getting more into Kobe, it was the first thing. I mean, he got drafted 13. Then he got traded. Okay, obviously it was Charlotte, something like that. Drafting, they didn't believe in him. I'm like, okay, this is an underdog cat. I like the fro. I started growing my hair out because of the fro, and I vibes. He gave me S Jordan, but it wasn't like, how should I explain it? It was like the upcoming, but the thing is, he started perfecting his craft every year to the point it was like, yo, this guy is getting good, and now he's getting good. He's becoming great. And after that, I was like, that story, just him, just everything in general, from knowing different types of languages, knowing how to play the piano, and just reading into his story. That's what really made me become in general, all the aspects of doing research on ball players.
So this morning, maybe you guys listening, if you guys are Kobe fans, so Kobe fans know this, or Kobe collectors know this. He has no shortage of autographs. Fair to say? It's got tons of autos. Something that's cool that a lot of people don't realize is, so they know he won the Oscar for Dear Basketball, but a lot of people don't know he wrote this. It's called the Wizard series, which was like a bunch of different kind of like short stories, kind of like Harry Potter-esque, but with lessons to young kids about, you know, teamwork, leadership, all that stuff. And there's a few of them. There's not a ton, but there's a few, and the whole series autographed by Kobe. And they sell for significantly less than some of the autographs. They make super cool collector items. And there's not going to be many more of them that come out that are signed. So something I'm looking at is autographed copies, if I can, like first edition copies of that Wizard series that he put together. And another thing, if you have kids and you guys kind of are driving, there's an amazing podcast Kobe put out. It's called The Punies that a lot of people haven't heard. It's tremendous. It's like these 10, 11-minute stories on audio that teach kids about, you know, teamwork, camaraderie. They're so well done. And it was just catching steam before he passed away. I highly, highly recommend, if you have 10, 15 minutes, search The Punies on Spotify or Apple and check it out with your kids. It's amazing what he did after playing ball.
Did Kobe ever apologize or anything?
You're such an idiot. Why are you the way you are?
I mean, I'm curious. I mean, people hold him out like almost deity level, right? So I'm
sorry. I'm sorry to call you an idiot. You throw me off. I don't even understand where you're going with it.
It's funny that you call me an idiot because
I'm sorry.
There was a couple weeks. Kobe is glorified by many fans, but you call me an idiot.
I apologize. I take it back.
Please don't, because it's perfect. Like, you couldn't have been better as a Kobe fan than to call me an idiot, because there was in the 2012 season, April of 2012, March of 2012, he had a pretty bad week where I think he probably owed people an apology. And as great as Kobe was and how great he was on the floor, he had a stinker of a performance. I think he put up like 11 points in one game, but he got the game-winning shot in that 11-point game. And he said, because people were questioning whether or not the Lakers could really compete. And he said, anybody out there who thinks that they want to question the Lakers is mentally challenged. And then the following week in April, I think like April 1st of that year, he actually went out and, you know, the media was questioning him and whether or not he was, you know, really playing to the level that he could play at, which is funny because at the time he was slightly in the lead for scoring leader. Stats don't matter, but he was the scoring leader at that point in time. And when people questioned his ability to play at a high level, he actually called them idiots. The same word you, the Kobe Bryant fan, decided to call me. And he went as far as to say, we're all surrounded by idiots. All of us were surrounded by idiots. Not very diplomatic. Not a good way to treat the fans who are paying so much to go and watch him play.
I hate you.
And so I'm curious whether or not Kobe Bryant ever apologized. And I don't know whether he did.
I'm going to pass this over to you because I'm just going to make a mess of all of it. But I just want to say I apologize to Cage for calling it. I wasn't expecting.
Listen to me. I couldn't have scripted it better.
I was talking about punies and I was going to like that, like teamwork and leadership. I didn't expect that, and it caught me a little off guard. I apologize.
That's all right. I mean, well, did Kobe ever apologize? Because I'm curious, man. I mean, listen, here's a guy who could go out there and tell people I could suck for 3.5 quarters, but don't worry, I'm going to be there at the end of the game, and call them idiots and get away with it, I think. You know, because he's held in this very high regard. And obviously, you know, he didn't have a perfect life. He didn't have a perfect career. There's some shadows over his career. I personally never understood the Kobe love. You guys know I don't think he's a top 5 player all time. But you know, I'm curious whether or not, Andrew, what about you? Like, if you did something bad, if you had a bad week, like Kobe had a bad week in 2012, would you apologize?
I miss sport because sport lets the performance do the talking. No, I'm answering you. Sport lets your performance do the talking. And
sounds like what Kobe would say.
There's very little things in life where that's mirrored, right? Like in sport, you don't have to say anything. You could let your performance do the talking. In life, there are times where you want to defend what people say about you, but then there's no playbook for how to play it out. So I don't know the answer to that, but I do.
Can't shoot your way out of the slump, man.
Exactly. I miss that.
Can't shoot your way out of the slump.
Because you could
you just stand there and look at the camera and say, "I'm not perfect."
Yeah.
Why don't you try it? Try
that
it. Look at the camera. Say, I'm
you
not perfect.
confused Daryl.
Go ahead. Daryl understands. The hobby understands. You can do it. I'm not perfect. I'd like another chance. I'd hope you give me one.
Fuck that shit.
Oh,
I didn't do anything. I've taken care of people the best that I can, and I'm going to take this in stride. I'm not going to let it make me a worse person. I'm not going to stoop to anybody's level.
and you guys are
but I
all
stand
idiots
by.
and mentally challenged. Kobe,
I don't need to
2012.
be the one judging if people are idiots or not. I could just, I was raised that when men have problems, they look each other in the eye and they talk through stuff. And second, actions speak louder than words. And I'm confident in my actions that I've done right by people.
So that's good enough for me because we'll all watch the actions. All of us, myself included. Dr. Collectible as well.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we got
The
Del Mar
Hawks,
coming
the
up.
Hawks fired Nate McMillan. They hired Dr. Collectible. What do you do? What do you do to fix this team?
You talking about for as Atlanta?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was a big fan of Trae Young. I was a more fan of Trae Young than Luka. It got deep to because I was like, I seen what happened when they got drafted. They both got drafted from two different teams and got traded. I seen Trae Young. I seen Underdog. I love the Underdog. He was too small. He was, they gave him their old Johnny Manziel type of vibes. He ain't gonna be nothing. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in and he is incredible. And what I mean by that, I look at the numbers. He was like one of the few that almost averaged like 9 to 10 assists.
Yep.
LeBron was doing. He was also he knows how to put up the points. And then that miraculous run that he had. I put it out there. I ain't gonna lie. I said this on my Facebook. I said, don't be surprised if Atlanta goes to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because to me, everybody was breaking down. And don't get me wrong, people was getting hurt, things that nation. They was right by a few bumps. But me personally, I have always been a fan of Trae Young just because of that underdog feel, man. Like, I just felt like he got Johnny Manziel vibes from everyone, and all of a sudden he just exploded. Now this year,
I like Trae for one other reason you didn't mention.
yeah,
We have the same hair. He has amazing hair like me. I mean,
Yeah.
Trae and I, we have this. It's like the same. It's all same look. But this year, I don't know. His hair doesn't look as good.
yeah, he's not. I don't know if it's the team or if it was the coaching. First off, one thing I feel like they made a lot of moves when they started sending off that one kid to New York. It started off from there. And I don't know what's going on the back end. I'm not saying Trae Young is not a leader but it takes some tough skin. Like, you need to start saying something. You need to start, you know what I'm saying? Like I look at Kobe, you can see him on the sideline. Literally going off on players like, yo, you wasn't set up right here, looking at the playbook. Yo, you supposed to be right. Like, literally dragging the guy on the floor. Yo, stand here. This is the play. So for Trae Young, I think for him, he needs to learn. I feel like he has everything for his talent. He can shoot. He has eye vision. He just needs to get some nice guys around him. Add to that Capella, add to, a few guys that they got there. And let's see what he can do. But I ain't gonna lie. The East look like it is wide open right now. The West is stacked. I don't know who's going to come out of there. But I do got a feeling that Trae Young can find his way. And maybe in the next couple of years, if they start continue to build and some guys want to come to Atlanta to play with him, that's the other thing. When people think about Atlanta, they thinking about, the clubs, the wings, and all that. And it's so easy for people to just go to LA. Try coming to Atlanta. Try coming. I've been here for about a little over 10 years, and I love it. And
If you guys get a chance, if you're in Atlanta, go to a Hawks game. It was one of my favorite arenas to go to. It's super cool, and they have like this, like it's like this buffet underneath the arena where I don't know, you could like buy it, the special ticket, and it's all you could eat. It's this delicious food, and it feels small. It feels more like a college atmosphere than like kind of a professional atmosphere. It's one of the coolest arenas I've been to. I went one last year.
it's amazing.
It's good because afterwards he went to Magic City, and he was still talking about going to the Hawks game. So it didn't matter. Magic City just paled in comparison to the Hawks game. But here's what you said without saying it. And there's a new coach there. So if you became the coach, the one thing I think that is the most important, and I hope Snyder does this, you got to let everyone know it's Trae's team, and Trae's got to take the team.
Yeah.
Right? Because what you're talking about with Kobe on the sidelines, you're in the wrong spot, you're in this. I don't know whether Trae can do that for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't know if he knows where people are supposed to be on the floor. I think, right now he's an offensive player who's just chucking up a bunch of shots. I don't know if he's a student of the game enough, and I don't know whether or not he has any credibility telling the other players on his team that kind of stuff. And also, I don't know whether or not the team looks at him like that. And I think that may start with the coach and him. Maybe next year, if they don't get to where they go, maybe he comes in early. Maybe him and the coach sit down and say, all right, for us to get where we're going, the world has to know, your teammates have to know this is your team. And that's not just, you got to learn it. You got to learn the plays. But you have to take a more active role and let the people know you're going to lead them. Because I watch a lot of basketball, not as much as Andrew, but I watch a lot of basketball. I watch that team and it looks almost like a pickup game. It looks like 5 guys who met like last week, and they can go out there and try to put more baskets in than the other team. It doesn't look like a lot of set plays. It doesn't look like a lot of communication and talking, and you're going to be here, and I know where you're going to be. It looks like the opposite of a Golden State Warriors game. And I know you can't compare everybody to the Warriors, but that's the vibe I get. And
do you think they lost the team when Trae came out and said regular season is boring?
No, because that probably actually gained them more, because I'm sure his teammates agree with that. They probably lost some fans. I'm sure most of the players agree. It's a long season.
But isn't that the student of the game thing that you're talking about?
Yeah,
the regular season is the opportunity to be
gel.
the student of the game.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, listen, those guys. One of the things you talked about with the Hawks, and it's very right still. There are a lot of good teams in the league that have great pieces. Look at how the Celtics built. Look at how the Bucks built, right? You have Giannis in the middle. You have Middleton, who does what he does. They even added in other pieces. Drew Holiday doing what he does, right? Each one serves a role. The Celtics, you got Tatum and Brown, but you also have Marcus Smart. You have Williams. You have the other Williams. You have the defensive guys. You have the spark plugs, the guys who make sure that when the second team comes in, they don't fall behind. Those guys can actually play. The Hawks, as you correctly said, are basically a bunch of interchangeable, the same guy. It's Trae and like 6 other guys that all John Collins and Clint Capella, and it was Cam Reddish who got traded. Like it was a whole bunch of interchangeable. They're not playing. Bogdanovich was nice, but he hasn't really done what I think they wanted him to do there, and maybe that's part of just the team makeup. Trae shouldn't be shooting as much. Trae should be breaking down the offense, going inside, and dishing to him. Can't fault Trae. Trae does average 10 assists per game. The stats are just empty, though, with Trae. He takes a lot of shots.
He reminds me of like I look at him and it's a esque of like a little bit of Curry because he can shoot. He's going to keep shooting. One thing I can say with him, and then he has this vision like LeBron, but then it's like there's all these other pieces. Like I feel like they need to build something around him that will help complete him. For example, you brought up Giannis and the Bucks. Well, nobody talking about the Bucks a few years ago before. Even when Giannis got there, a lot of people just didn't know who he was until he just emerged, and people started seeing pictures from when he first came in the league to him being.
Say his name again. I like the way you say it.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis?
Yeah, Giannis.
Giannis, I like that.
Don't you get mad at me when I say you said something wrong and you say it's not, don't you get mad at me? Why are you doing that? We all know who he's talking about.
I said I like how he said it.
Okay, good.
We
all know who he means.
Jesus,
we know who he means. Wait till you start talking about hockey, and you can't. Well, you could probably say all their names.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Daryl, let me ask you.
Yeah.
What would you like to see more of in the hobby?
Smiles.
More smile. All right, so smiles for sure. One thing about me and what I want to see is fun, environment. Invite your friends. This is something I heard Jeff Wilson say. And this is something that I've definitely been trying to bring to the hobby. Like with me and my content, I want people to look at my content and say, hey, I've never been to Culture Collision. But when I look at his content, I'm interviewing everybody. Me and PSA Pod, we're interviewing everybody. I'm going out taking pictures. I'm doing everything besides just showing you cards. I'm showing you the whole experience. And that's what I try to bring to the table, where I feel like a lot of people is not doing. And don't get me wrong, none to take away from content creators, but that's all I see is cars, cars, cars. And don't get me wrong, as a hobbyist, yeah, I want to know about cars, but also I want to know what I'm getting to when I go to these shows as well. What's the experience like? Is it cool enough to bring a friend? Is it, like I look at them type of things and I'm like, yo, the hobby is turned up. Come, you're gonna have a good vibe wherever show you at. I just feel like shows need to bring better and good experience. Because when I want to bring my friend, I want to make sure that when he leaves out there, he wants to go to another trade show by himself. That's my thing when it comes to the hobby. That's why I want to see it's more fun. The numbers are going to be there. Nothing is not going to change. This hobby is going to be here. It's been here before the boom. It's going to be here after the boom. But it's the fact that retaining people, like you said earlier, Cage, is like, okay, people made it, boom. All of a sudden, numbers ain't working out how they are. Numbers, like, collect what you love. Like with me, if I don't sell a Kobe card, oh well, it doesn't sell. But I love it. I'm not sitting there looking at I sell this card for some revenue because I bought it for this much. You looking at the numbers. No, collect what you love, because if I don't sell the Kobe card, trust and believe it's enjoying my PC.
Listen, I love the friends line, right? I mean, all it keeps running through my bring a friend there, make sure they're going to want to come back, right? It's tell your friends to get with my friends, and we can be friends.
Yeah,
Little Biggie.
Biggie, man. Said it
Little
back.
Biggie. That's all I'm hearing in my brain. Boom.
Last
Drop the
question.
mic.
Last question. We'll let you go. Unless Cage, you got anything else? Any more of your amazing quotes?
Dude, I could rip on Kobe for the next half an hour if you want. It's just going to really get under your skin.
I feel like an asshole for telling you that you're an idiot. Sometimes maybe I'm not as, my mind isn't as fast as
See
Cage
these
is here.
hands? You played right into them.
I know. I don't expect that after I tell you guys about, the punies and leadership and this awesome, amazing series that Kobe did, that Cage is going to read me a quote from Kobe from 2012 about how he was calling everyone idiots. I didn't expect it, so I apologize. Who has game at Culture Collision? Who has game?
Me.
On the court.
Oh, no, I've never been there.
Name one guy or gal.
Overtime Sam.
It's interesting. You know who was nice for it? Mr. Get It and Flip It. I'm not sure if y'all checked out his him around a lot with Wiz and Prison Guy. When he came there, he was stretching. He was like, he was on the sideline ready, like I'm ready to ball when I actually got to see him on the court.
It was at Cigar Night, Andrew.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy. Yeah.
It's a big boy. There's no one to even switch on to him. If he gets in the post, forget about it.
Oh yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, man. And game too. He's a different breed, man. He's all about the competition. Like when he got there, it was like, yo, all right, y'all want to lollygag and talk. And I want to say he maybe went to go play for the championship round on 3-on-3 tournament. So yeah, it was some ballers there, man. I ain't gonna lie. This one kid that was on my team, his name was Lucas. I actually ran into him at Collecticon. Him and his dad, like, they cool, and they was calling him Baby Luca, man. Like,
wow.
That's one of the reasons why I made it to third place. Like I said, I didn't place for third, but I went to play for third place. And the kid was just that kid. And another guy, he I believe he goes by Call Me Nonsense. He does painting. I actually was at the show. He had a booth right next to the court. Didn't know he could play. One of my players ended up getting too busy, couldn't play his game in the championship, in the third place round. He came in and was like, yo, I get in, and literally was balling out. So two of my guys, man, y'all, shout out to them that was on the court with me, y'all. They cool, man.
Daryl knows everybody by their IG handle.
Good. You know who he doesn't know? There was at the Culture Collision you didn't go to, the second one. You were at the first and the third.
Yes.
The Boca King Snake, not the Black Mamba. The Boca King Snake was there. He was playing, and he would have taken the whole tournament by storm. But the Boca King Snake, which is a friendly snake as opposed to the Mamba. I mean, it's a friendly, nice snake. You can pet it, everything great. Boca King Snake. Allegedly, he was given two teammates. One had one leg, and one was missing an arm, and only had one eye. So the Boca King Snake was playing against three players by himself. Andrew Goldberg, also known as the Boca King Snake, folks. He would have won the whole thing. but clearly it wasn't in the cards for him that year. Sorry.
Well, so weird. Life is all right. Any final words before we wrap? I'll
Yeah.
Final words from me or from the listen, Dr. Collectible. Here's the fun stuff, right? How do people find you? How do people get in touch with you? How do people see your content besides being on Car Shop Live? Is it anywhere else? What's your Instagram page? You name it. I love what you're asking for the hobby. More fun, more interactive. Make sure that the shows and our content are where you could bring a friend and your friends are going to want to stay. Where can people find you?
Yeah, Instagram, everything got the collectible from around book. I also have my own website, which I'm redoing as well. Twitter, dot collectibles. I'm still fighting for that dot collectible spot on Twitter. Somebody got it for me. And YouTube, TikTok, you can find me everywhere. It is definitely hard to put out all these platforms, uh, basically. And on Car Shop Live every so yeah, that's definitely where you can find me. I do want to leave some final words though. Um,
please.
for the hobby, something that I have done for myself. 2023, I said to myself I wanted to be able to make revenue, and it sounds crazy, but what I mean is really PC stuff. Because I had a rough year last year buying these, just buying anything I could grab my hands on. Kobe pies, that was very rare, and selling it and knowing how I felt after that. For me now, this year, I want to let people know, if you get in your bag and do what you need to do within the hobby, I don't care what it is, you can make money. I have several streams of revenue that I am making right now, whether if it's on eBay. I started my own after school program teaching kids about cards. I'm making revenue from that. And it's very educational as well because these kids are into cards. So I seen what's what revenue can be made that nobody is really like getting into in the hobby without having to sell a card. I sell merchandise, so all my merchandise. Um, and then on top of that, I try to go to these car shows, create partnerships like with Car Shop Live, creating revenue for myself without having to sell a car. That has been my biggest goal this year. And I don't want to take away from nobody when it comes to selling cars. Yo, sell what you can. But when it stuff and what I was saying earlier about the PCs, and when it comes to these one-on-ones and people trying to put comps on, how do you want me to sell you a card that you seen that just so raw on eBay, and I have this grade and this pop one? No, it's not gonna work like that with me. So, and I'm open to negotiate, but the thing is, my biggest thing has been collecting what I love, but making money, revenue from the things that I'm enjoying doing in the hobby. You can get paid from Instagram, create content. And if you're really about it, the numbers should come. Everything should come with it, but it's all about being consistent. And for me, that has been my biggest thing, is that I have created several different streams of revenue without having to hard. That's been my biggest thing. Push for free, but no, that's how hobby is alive. You know. Um, so for
If
me,
someone if
one of
someone wants to support kind of the after school program that you're doing, could they reach out to you on IG?
yeah, you can reach out to me on IG right now. I'm only at one school, but what I did was I looked and seen what kids was getting into Pokemon, which I love Pokemon, been an expert in, and then as well sports cards. What I did was create a curriculum, and I went to the board of education in my area and told them, this is what I want to do. What do you think? They was like, yo, this is amazing. We have a bunch of kids here at this school. Boom, boom. They come, they bring their booklets of cards, and now I have like over 30 kids that I attend to every day, Monday through Friday, and they love it. They love the hobby, and like I say, this is the thing. This is the future. We want to teach our kids right, because one thing is this: I believe in karma. say if you do that kid wrong, just imagine 20 years later, that kid now has a card that you want. And they remember that. I'm not selling you that card. You remember how bad you did me, or you told me about this card,
You dogged me.
trade, or you didn't tell me the benefits of my card or let me know. Like, I feel like, that's what the hobby need to get to. Be honest with these kids, man, because they're going to end up continue to build this hobby. And when it's time for you to want to buy that one card, and that kid got that one card, and they remember that, man, it can be sickening. So for me, I'm always about acknowledging the kids and letting them know up front. And that's what I got from the hobby when I went to my first trade show, which was Coach Collision. Wiz told me, hey, okay, this Kevin Durant auto is nice and Donruss, but you want to look for things like flawless, national treasures, things that's going to stand the tales of time when that card matters the next 10 to 15 years from now. That is some of the best advice that I got, and I'm still friends with guys like Wiz Collect about that. So I try to give that to kids in general, and you see me at different trade shows with kids talking to kids about the hobby. So for me, definitely you can reach out to me if you're definitely interested. I'm looking to try to be in more schools by the end of the year, training individuals like me to be able to help run these programs while I'm doing other different things. So, and that comes back to what people are not doing in the hobby, taking a chance, and didn't have to sell any car at all. But once again, sell your cars, people. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm all for the hobby, but yeah, that's just for me personally, and how I'm trying to move this year. When people say, "Hey, the market is down," but you know what? I'm not just cars.
You know what?
Makes sense.
What we're at with this, it sparked a memory as you were talking. When I was a kid, and we collected, I guess, like 95, 96, 97. There really wasn't internet. So my favorite part now that you brought it up was looking at the backs of cards and looking at stats. And it just like jogged the memory because I was like, oh, that's where we kind of got the stats. That's why we got the box score. And then later on, I'd be like, oh, no, dude, I'm not trading by Brett Favre. Do you know he had like 30 touchdowns last season? Right, because we didn't have internet back then. So this is the cards was where the stats were put. So jog the memory. Anyway, Dr. Collectible, please follow him on Instagram, and then from there, he has a link to his card shop live show, and you could reach out. Great guy, very responsive. Cage, don't ever change, man. You're a legend in your own right.
With nearly 40 years as the most trusted resource for collectors, dating back to the first Beckett magazine in 1984, Beckett has been the brand that bridges generations of the hobby. We're happy to be partnering with Beckett and look forward to keeping you all updated on the big things happening at the company in 2023. Beckett, it's the name you know and the name you can trust.